Hi everyone, we are going to be going over lesson 38 for our 7th grade Elevate groups. Yesterday, students were writing expressions and applying them to real-world scenarios. Today, students are going to continue evaluating algebraic expressions by substituting given values for the variables. So in this first intro, it says find the value of the expression when n is equal to 10. So our expression is 2 times parentheses n plus 3. We are going to go ahead and substitute 10 for n, sorry. So here is where that substitution happens. Instead of n, they have put in 10. So 10 plus 3 gives me 13. 2 plus 13 gives me 26. Okay? So when n is equal to 10, the value of the expression is 26. Students are going to also have to substitute multiple variables between one expression. So for instance, this expression right here has a as a variable and then b as a variable too. So students will have to substitute half for a and 3 for b. When they do that, students will have to do 8 times 1/2 and 9 times 3. 8 times 1/2, or half of 8, is 4, and 9 times 3 is 27. From there, they are going to use the order of operations to evaluate this expression. The order of operations tells us that addition and subtraction are interchangeable. We have to solve from left to right. So first things first, we are going to do 4 plus 27, which is 31, and then 31 minus 7, which gives us 24. So when a is equal to half and b is equal to 3, the value of the expression is 24. And then something that you want to highlight and name to students is that 8a means 8 times a, which is why when we substitute half for a, we have to do 8 times a half, right? And then the same thing can be said for 9b. So here is the discussion question. I will say save this discussion question for the end, right before students are leaving and after they have done their independent practice, so that they can have some robust discussion around their learning for the day. And definitely feel free, even before you jump into that intro, to go over the recap. So yesterday we learned to translate verbal expressions into algebraic expressions and write them in real world scenarios. Today we are going to evaluate expressions the same way I modeled earlier in the lesson, or earlier in this video. Okay, so then you're going to jump into your teacher model, specifically focused on these steps. It should take about 3 minutes. You really want to take your time with this model so students are set up for success. So it says Aunt Amelia is 4 years more than twice as old as Theo. If Theo is 11 years old, how old is Aunt Amelia? Please notice that I am using the redraw right process to help me solve this word problem. Another thing that you will notice is that I'm taking notes as I am reading the problem, or I'm annotating as I'm reading the problem. So Aunt Amelia is 4 years more. I have gone ahead to indicate more is addition, and then twice, I know that means I am going to be doing 2 times something, right? As Theo. It tells me if Theo is 11 years old, then how old is Aunt Amelia? Focusing on these steps, it says let T represent Theo's age. Let T represent Theo's age. 4 more than means that I'm adding 4. Nice job when I annotated. I took a note of that. And then twice as old means to T. Let the expression 2T plus 4 represent Aunt Amelia's age. Okay, so we're using this expression. 2T plus 4 represent Aunt Amelia's age. Substitute 11 for T. So instead of letter T, we are going to do, instead of 2 times T, we are going to do 2 times 11, which is right here, which is 22. And then we're going to go ahead and add the 4 more years that Aunt Amelia has, which means that Aunt Amelia is 26 years old. Just like yesterday, you can go ahead and use a tape diagram to help students conceptualize comparative questions. So we know that Theo is some age, and we know that Aunt Amelia is 2 times his age. So there you go. There's 1 time, and then there's 2 times his age. But then she has an additional 4 years over that. They tell us that Theo is 11, so I went to go ahead and plug in this 11 for Theo. Because this tape diagram matches this one and this one, I've gone ahead to fill them in with 11s as well. And then added that 4. So 11 plus 4 gives me the same 26. So question A here is a nice question to focus on. However, for the purposes of this lesson, I would go ahead and skip it, only because there aren't too many questions that focus on perimeter and area. This is a nice question that allows students to understand why the formula for perimeter works. So I would jump into the independent practice. Before you jump into the independent practice, though, I would spend about 7 minutes modeling questions 1, 2, and 12. So show students how you will fill in these blanks for your substitution. I've chosen these specific questions. Question 1, because it is a 1 variable substitution. Question 2 is a 2 variable substitution. And then question 12 is a word problem. So you will be going over the different types of questions students are going to be seeing during their independent practice.